And yes, it is the long-awaited return. Grade A Fantasy is back. Hey, things happen, work, got a little sick, a lot of things get in the way. But hey, why not end the fantasy football season, or DFS season anyway, with a little simple and not too complicated preview of the AFC and NFC championships for this week on Fan Duel. We'll do a quick little preview of both KC at Baltimore for the AFC Championship and for Detroit at San Francisco for the NFC Championship. I will also be putting out quite a bit of content tonight. First and foremost, what I should have started with was good evening, good night. Hope everybody's all right. You know, a lot of people get sick, things are going around, weather's pretty much unpredictable, but been raining a lot, so it's supposed to keep us in the house watching football. So looking forward to giving out a lot of content tonight. I want to do a little prize picks. Might even throw a little sports book for the weekend or whatever on favorite picks and everything like that. But before we get all through that, let's get one thing first and foremost done. Welcome back. Hope you guys miss me. I miss you guys. I miss making content. And let's get just right straight into this. So obviously you kind of treat this like a single game. You can kind of mix everything up. Quarterbacks and stacks against the defense. Last week, the winning stacks was pretty much a Baker. It was pretty much Baker with Evans, and you could have mixed it in with another Lions wide receiver like maybe St. Brown. You needed Gibbs, and you still needed the Detroit defense because they was able to generate the most pressure and get 9 points to help along with the rest of the lineup, be optimal. Last week, it's just one of those weeks where you just can't treat it like the same typical 9, 10, 11 game slate. So with this week, two unique matchups, very interesting matchups. Hey, it's going to be fun watching these games, whether if you got something right on it or not. But let's do this quick little breakdown. So in the KC and Baltimore game, you're going to have two stout defenses. You're going to have two outstanding quarterbacks. What's going to be interesting to watch in this game is watching these two extend the play. Mahomes more expected to scramble and extend the play. Lamar looks to scramble and then maybe try to scramble out the pocket, but in most cases he will take off with his feet. So obviously when it comes to the most upside, Lamar definitely stands above the rest. I think after that you'll really have, Purdy. Purdy's ownership will shoot up now because what is it? It's about 11 o'clock right now. So about what? It was just about 3.5, 4 hours ago. Debo was cleared to play. Apparently there's no limitations to that shoulder. I think he put in more of a fine practice. He's already been cleared. This is no last minute wait. I mean, obviously it's a good sign. He's cleared to play. So I don't think if you're cleared Friday after, being iffy and everything after taking that injury, then obviously holding him out was definitely a precaution and everything, because I'm pretty sure playing on whatever was the issue with his shoulder would have made it worse, and he possibly, more than likely, wouldn't be able to play this week. But Samuel is good to go, and the 49ers will have all their weapons together. What I like about the 49ers now with all the weapons, it kind of goes back in standard with, Purdy. And then, of course, once you have Purdy, you think about stacking them up automatically with McCaffrey. Debo back is not going to take away anything from McCaffrey. McCaffrey's probably going to be the most owned. I, as usual, play the 25 max. If anything, I'm not going to lie, I will try to have him in maybe half my lineups. I mean, there's going to be people that's probably going to do the whole, hey, I expect McCaffrey to go. I'm going to have him in every lineup. I kind of did that last week, and it kind of helped me cash nicely with Khalil Shakir last week. 11,000 is a lot, but there are ways, and there's bits and pieces of value here and there that one expensive piece of 11,000 isn't too bad. But when we do get into that, yes, you're gonna have the one thing that's good about this. Now, once you have Purdy, once you have McCaffrey, now here's the thing that we all don't have to worry about now. The main weapons are there. Okay? So when it comes to thinking about a GPP play, we know we have Debo. We know we have Ayuk. The good thing is we don't have to worry about, Jawan Jennings. We don't have to worry about a Ronnie Bell or anything like that. We don't. That's pretty much said and done. The thing is now, even though, yes, it's a short slate, I think with Debo officially in, now you can look more like, because there are games during the season. If you look it up, there are games during the season that George Kittle is pretty much non-existent. Yes, he had a nice game last week. He damn sure did. He had a solid game. But when you see and look at his targets, 4, it'll go to 10, 4, 5, 6, 5, 9, 4, 11, 7, 2. Not much consistency. So now I really like Kittle now as a contrarian play, because now that attention will go to Debo. Those short flat outs will go to Debo. Kittle will probably be used more as a blocker to free him up. And I really do like George Kittle now more. I mean, obviously, this doesn't make George Kittle a 5 to 10% play, but in a slate like this, you're going to get at least some type of advantage if people jump on Debo, but yet it's George Kittle with a decent 4 to 6 reception game. But if he could get a touchdown or 2 out of it, then yeah, you beat the Debo people, because obviously only so many touchdowns can be scored in this game. And of course, McCaffrey's going to get the bulk of the touches after that. So George Kittle looking more like not a GPP play, but you can definitely hurt most of the field that's going to be hyped on the Debo train now that he's cleared and healthy, ready to go. As we look on the Detroit side now, if we could just switch things up, let's just take this out of the way. When it comes to the Detroit side, all you're worried about is if the Cinderella slippers are finally going to come off Jared Goff. You're just hoping that he's not inaccurate. He's been pretty lucky this year. He's had all the home games in the dome, and then of course playing against Minnesota, that's an extra dome game. Hasn't had much weather concerns, especially in the playoffs. San Francisco's supposed to have rain, but guess what? I don't think it's supposed to rain as hard as it did in the Green Bay game, and it's supposed to be maybe slightly warmer. Obviously, it's going to be played at night, so temperature's not going to drop that much or anything. It's not like it's going to start 60 and by the fourth quarter end up at like 49, 51. No. So you're just hoping for Jared Goff to, Cinderella slippers keep going. If anything, 1 turnover, but you're hoping for a solid, 3 TD, 291 kind of game. So what I like here is the fact that with this style of offense, once again, the elusive play of Jahmyr Gibbs is more suitable for this kind of game. But the 49ers defense does have a lot of holes. It's not so simple to say, hey, I'm going to fade David Montgomery, maybe his power style and everything. But he's a bit speedy, maybe not as nimble as Aaron Jones. But as you can see last week, they got pretty gashed up last week. And if they move the ball, who says Montgomery doesn't get in the 5? Gibbs gets inside 10 touches, but guess what? He gets it a few times here and there. If the ball gets moved up and down the field and they get inside the 5, the 3, or the 4, whatever, well, obviously that's all the same thing. But if they get close to the goal line, yeah, they can open up enough holes and zone blocking to get Montgomery in there. I don't think Montgomery, as much as Gibbs has played well this playoff, and as you can see here by the game log, 19 and 14 points, has a touchdown in both games, has 4 targets and 4 yards, over 40 receiving yards. Yes, but I think this is definitely a game where even though the 49ers do have gaps, in their defense and they're getting gassed up and they can be had, This is one of those playoff games where you just can't forget about David Montgomery. This could be one of those things where Gibbs probably gets a decent amount of yardage, and then, of course, swinging out to Laporta. Josh Reynolds has had a solid playoff run, and then, of course, Amon-Ra. And then all of a sudden, he gets all the yardage, but we all can see David Montgomery getting 2 TD runs at the goal line. So, on top of whatever else he does during the day. So, if possible, there's a lot of options. I don't think there's any easy fades this week. Like for me, last week, the easiest fade was Stephon Diggs. 25 lineups. I had Diggs once because Josh Allen was my most popular quarterback in the 2-game lineup last year. And just for it, I mean, it made sense to get a Josh Allen stack with Diggs. You know, it's fantasy-wise. You got to, do what's fantasy right. But in the other 24 lineups, regardless of whoever the quarterback was, Diggs was not in the lineup. So, I mean, I understand that the Gibbs height is legitimate and it's, well-deserved. I just don't think we should look at David Montgomery as a fade. Some people might feel that his style of play and his style of running kind of fits, but the offensive line for the Detroit Lions is healthy. They're moving, they're zone blocking, and they're pulling of the guards will give the 49ers an issue. So, on top of that, you also have to realize that last year in this situation now, people could probably say, hey, they felt deflated because, they literally had no quarterback after Purdy. Like, hey, after he went down, they couldn't get out. They just couldn't stop nobody. And 3 and outs, and you have a quarterback with no arm. Just got to remember last year, Philly's running game also plastered the 49ers. It's a good defense, but it can be had. It's nice. It's a defense definitely with some holes in it that you can exploit. Oops, I did not mean to do that, but we can do this still. Now let's go to the wide receivers for the Lions. As you see here, Amon-Ra St. Brown. What can be said? Not many people can guard him, and that's the secondary that can also be had, and that's been banged up throughout the year. They lost a few guys through injury, so Amon-Ra will be a handful. But once again, he's been a favorite. I'm going to continue to pick him. I've always believed in their connection from when they were on the Rams. I think he's a good solid number 2, number 3 for any team in the league. Big fan of Josh Reynolds. Obviously, love him even more now that Khalif Raymond and that knee injury acts up again. So once again, Jameson Williams. Now, the thing is with the matchup, they are thinking that Jameson Williams, being that he's the 3rd wide receiver, obviously you're not going to get the number 1 look, but they feel that in the slant and on goal routes from the outside, not a lot of 49ers DBs can really keep up with Jameson's breakout speed. Now, this week with the defensive schemes and everything, now, can Baltimore does play both ways with zone and man. But if there's anything, now, only 4 games. So unfortunately, yes, we DFS players, whether if you're on DraftKings and or Fan Duel, we're going to have to trust a Kansas City wide receiver. For contrarian purposes, there's going to be a whole ton of other people more popular than the Kansas City wide receivers. Like I said, you could go through 3 guys on Baltimore: Aguilar, Beckham, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman. That's their main crew right there. Shoot, you could really go Juwan Jennings if they decide to spread out the offense for a 4 wide receiver set or a 3 wide receiver set with Debo and Ayuk. But Jameson Williams' speed is and could be an issue. I think he'll be able to at least maybe get 1. Now, if you're asking me this week, and as you can see, I kind of started the conversation by saying this, we're gonna have to trust the Chiefs wide receiver. When they play zone, it's not the best fit for, people like MVS and everything like that. But I think this week, along with somebody that can take the cover off the top, I think when they do go man, it's going to have to be either Jameson Williams and or MVS. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, I honestly feel it'll be more of Valdez-Scantling because I really feel that Goff is just a thing. Like, it could happen in this one game, but it's just that he just doesn't get the targets. That's the issue. Now, yes, MVS only got 2 targets last week, but obviously MVS, the more trusted veteran, because after it's more like a roulette thing with KC, because after Kelsey, who's going to get the ball? It could be anybody. At least 3 to 5 times a game, there are plays made for MVS to take off the top. He gets his targets. Jameson Williams, that's the issue with him. He'll get 4 targets too. The last time he had anything over 5 was back around Christmas, 6 and 7. Then look at that, 2, 1, 3, 3, 2, 3, 6. And this is still around the time when Amon-Ra St. Brown was dinged up as well. So it's just the opportunity for Jameson Williams that he needs with Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Now, of course, obviously we know the trouble that they've had all year, but yes, these are very little targets and everything with the problems that the KC defense has had. But remember, these targets are deep. So 3, 4, 5 targets can easily be 2 catches, 82 yards, and a touchdown. And automatically, at a cheap price of $4,800, you're going to need them. So you're just going to have to stomach the fact that on a slate like this, and since we'll dig right in, since I had MVS, that will interlude to the KC Baltimore preview, you're just going to have to understand, you're going to have to, besides Kelsey, you're going to have to, I've already accepted the fact that you're going to have to stomach some type of wide receiver. Now, obviously, Rashee Rice is obviously going to be the number 1 pick after Kelsey. It's going to really depend on how they do in the coverages, but I think Mahomes is going to have to be very patient and pick his spots and not force anything. I think he's going to do a great job of scrambling and extending the play. Because whether Kelsey is going to be lethal in man or zone, but with also him extending the play, can he go to Kelsey in the flat over the middle of the field? Yes. In most cases, it won't be MVS scrambling for the ball. So now, with Rashee Rice better in zone than he is against man, the question is, who's the next chief receiver that's going to step up against this tough defense? Now, the defensive backfield of the Baltimore Ravens is a bit dinged up, yes. Now, they are getting their best defensive back in Humphrey, but Humphrey's not going to be 100%. He won't be. That's not possible. So, even against a hobbled and somewhat inconsistent wide receiver core, Humphrey is somebody that can be had. So when we think of the scrambling, extending the plays, that's where these guys come in. Justin Watson, McCall Hardman. Kadarius Toney still questioned with hips. Sky Moore's not going to make it back. And as you can see last week, I don't think, if anything, he's pretty much special team. So, I mean, if you want to talk about lottery ticket, that's a lottery ticket if you ever had one. But I think Richie James does not fit the equation at all. So I think you're pretty much looking up at Kadarius getting cleared. And then, of course, McCall Hardman's an interesting play, 4,600. Yeah, he fumbled twice last week, but it shows that they're willing to gadget him the ball with handoffs, short sweeps, who knows, wide receiver screens. Especially look for McCall Hardman to get more chances, especially if Kadarius Toney gets ruled out. But when it comes to extending the play, that's where Justin Watson comes in. You hope he could probably find Rashee Rice. And then if we go to the tight ends, he gets snap counts. Yes, Travis Kelce's the man. But what you have to understand is that Noah Gray gets snap counts, and he gets into the game, and he gets thrown at. He's just not in there to give Kelce a rest for a snap or two and then just disappear. I mean, he does get 3 to 5 targets depending on the game script that it's in. And he does get goal line looks when they want to motion Kelce and hide him in the flat and then have Noah Gray go out the opposite flat. It does happen. So it is a very interesting dynamic here. Now, of course, talking about coming back from injury, we're going to flip it to the Ravens side. Biggest news was Mark Andrews comes back. That takes a dip to Isaiah Likely. So we're going to talk about tight ends again because now Isaiah Likely is more than likely. Yeah, I kind of did that on purpose to be more of a GBP play because like Debo, everybody's going to be hard to play Mark Andrews. Here's the thing that you have to keep in mind, though. With Mark Andrews, it seemed like they said he was ready to play last week. What the question is, they ruled him out because obviously with his ankle injury, he had game conditioning issues. They felt that he wasn't ready. So another week of working out, another week of practice. They feel that he's ready now. What does that tell me? I have a feeling that this won't be your 80-20 split because Andrews is a good all-around tight end, just like Kittle. Good hands, good run blocking. I got a feeling that you shouldn't rule out Isaiah Likely at all. And I think this could possibly be more, not even a 65-35. I think it'd be even closer to a 60-40 split. We all know Lamar loves Mark Andrews. That's his safety blanket. I think there's a difference between, Kelsey acts like a safety blanket too. But with Kelsey and Mahomes, it's Kelsey, Mahomes. That's my favorite target. With Mark Andrews, I know I can scramble with my feet. But if I'm in trouble, I'm looking for him first, and I'm hoping he could get open second when he's covered. Then I'm going to take off with my feet. Other than that, if you notice anything about watching Baltimore games, all those other passes that get thrown to Beckham, Flowers, Bateman, those are passes that are, besides any broken plays that can happen, you're going to have broken plays with a running quarterback. Those are passes that are going to be strictly from the pocket. Anything else, if it's a broken play, if Lamar's not ready to take off, he's going to look for Andrews. So it'll be fine, but don't be surprised if there's a long drive and Isaiah Likely is the one that's getting like the first or second goal line look while Mark Andrews catches his breath and gets a breather. If they held him out last week because of conditioning and they felt like his conditioning is better, his condition is not perfect. So I really think the snap count is something just to watch. Just watch during the game. I don't think it's going to be half and half, but I think it's going to be close to 60-40 instead of the typical where a starter dominates the snap count on a 70-30, even a 80-20 basis. And just like the wide receivers for the Ravens, of course, you're going to have to go with Lamar. And don't worry, I'll be kind of rambling back and forth a bit, but we'll get back to the running backs right quick. And with Lamar, like I said, it's 4 guys. You literally got Zay, Beckham, Aguilar, Bateman. Those are the main guys right there. Now, with Zay Flowers, he's going against a very, very tough matchup. Willie Snead is probably most likely going to lock him up. And when I say lock him up, mostly shadow him. So he's going to see mostly Willie Snead. So the question is, because Willie Snead pretty much had Diggs wrapped up. He got missed a couple of times. And Diggs had a drop. But overall, it was definitely a solid game by the KC defensive backfield. So the question is, on top of figuring out what kind of usage Isaiah Likely gets, on top of Andrews being back, who do you feel most comfortable? And I'm not going to lie to you, there was a time, especially in the beginning of the season, I was definitely more of an Odell Beckham guy. But when it comes to sometimes these plays breaking down and scrambling, I'm not going to lie to you, it is Nelson Aguilar that sometimes finds his way open, and he'll get the opportunity to get it across the field and run after the catch. He caught the touchdown last week in the red zone. Against Pittsburgh, 5 for 5, 39 yards. Not much, but all it takes is for him to have the opportunity to grab one and get one after the catch. That's what Nelson Aguilar is. He's a possession guy, but when you have somebody like Lamar can get him open and give the ability for Nelson Aguilar to run after the catch. A couple weeks ago at San Francisco, got the touchdown, 5 for 5 for 32. Doesn't get looked at, but he will take a chance. There's another touchdown there. Every now and then, Aguilar has those games where he doesn't do much, but you're going to need him in this kind of small slate. All the touchdown count, especially in a small slate. Anything 4 or more, you could possibly get different. But 2, you're going to possibly mostly need all the touchdowns you can get. You just hope Aguilar gets the volume for it. You're looking for one of these early games, 5 for 64, or something earlier in the season. Like this would be great if he could do 5 or 63. After that, he never really had a game like that. He pretty much had the one big play touchdown, and you hope he just gets to run after the catch. That's what you need from Nelson Aguilar. I think he will be the cheaper GPP play because Beckham will probably be the more popular play. But like I said, all these guys are going up against a very solid Kansas City backfield. Defensive backfield, I mean. Probably the most interesting part of the slate to me. Hey, I already know Gus Edwards is looking like the man, but every now and then Justice Hill does have these big plays, and what it is that Justice Hill has these big plays through the air. If you look back toward the season, okay, now obviously he didn't do much, but he got 10 targets. He's been doing it quite all year, just silently. He just needs to break off the big one. To me, he's the more explosive runner than Gus Edwards. He'll have the 5 targets, and that's the thing. The reason why, and he's a popular pick, but the main reason why I paid attention, obviously I've never picked him during the season, but Justice Hill definitely seems to have the more explosive plays, where Gus Edwards is more of your, ground and pound grind, and he'll get the, goal line look. But Justice Hill's getting more of a feel and getting more of a rotation. Last week, over 60% of snaps. I think it was more close to 70. As you can see there, 13 carries and still getting 2 targets out the backfield. Didn't get into the end zone, but it's still a productive day. And for 5,500, I would take that performance from last week. You just hope that he falls into the end zone. But just tracking it back, he does get the screen pass. He's the one that I like, because I like the fact that Lamar will throw it to him. He doesn't really throw it to his running back, but he's the one that will get thrown upon. And I think he has the ability to get one and take one in the flat, and maybe even maybe a direct swing pass, set up a proper screen, and outside from the 15, 20, take it to the house. He does have some explosive capabilities. Dalvin Cook, that's a lottery ticket, y'all. I mean, I'm not really even thinking. I mean, hey, is it interesting? Can he get a goal line touch? But I doubt it. For 4,500, if I had to optimize it, he'll be X'd out. I'm not messing with him. And then, of course, when you look at the Chiefs side, it's Lily Pacheco. I understand he still had the Q tag. Guys, I'm not worried about Pacheco. Pacheco is such a physical, strong runner. He's fun to watch. Somebody that runs as strong as him is going to be, and who puts his foot into the ground and plants, he's going to have a bad toe. He's going to have maybe sore thighs. He's probably going to have dinged up shoulder, which he had last week. He is going to play. I don't think he gets ruled out. There's no way he gets ruled out. He is playing. I don't care what nothing says. Isaiah Pacheco is the man. Other than that, Clyde Edwards-Helaire will spell him. Might get a few big plays. Can he get into the end zone? Yeah, it's possible. It is possible, but obviously I miss Jerick McKinnon. I really wish Jerick McKinnon would have been able to play. Obviously, it's just a 2-man rotation. All the big guns are playing. The only way LaMichael P. Ryan will probably get any kind of run would be one of these guys will have to get hurt. Or it'll be interesting, if for some reason he tests before the game and like, hey, I can't do it. Not only does Clyde Edwards-Helaire probably become he probably becomes the most popular play on top of Christian McCaffrey, because what's better than grabbing the most expensive integral piece of the whole slate and grabbing the cheapest and newest integral piece of the slate? If Clyde Edwards-Helaire was to start, he's 4,600 opposite 11,000, and then you can pretty much do whatever you want, because I think this is also a week that the defenses, I don't think the defenses are at the regular price. I don't think anybody's 5,000. Whoops, I'm gonna have to go back in here. Sorry about that. But I don't think any of the defenses are at the 5,000 max, and nobody's at the 3,000 minimum. No, once again, it's a 45 to 33. So now, what's my favorite defense here? I'm gonna let you know right now. If you saw anything last week, Bills weren't optimal because they couldn't sack Mahomes. Mahomes is elusive, extended the play. Lamar, can he be sacked? Yeah, because sometimes before he runs, he'll try to extend the play and trying to get the ball downfield. But I'm letting you know right now, with the pressure that Hutchinson and And like I said, the Lions are the weakest defense out of all of them. But to get to Purdy and maybe cause a couple of mistakes, get in his face, maybe bat the ball in the air, get 2 or 3 sacks, get an interception on Purdy. My favorite defense is Detroit. I'm going with them again. After what they did last week, they were still able to create pressure, get some turnovers. They gave up almost 30 and still ended up with 9 Fan Duel points last week, which made them optimal. It made them optimal last week. In the playoffs, the Lions defense has 6 sacks and 2 interceptions. So if they can at least do something like that while giving up points, they don't even have to get the other interceptions. They could just get the 4 sacks. You'll be good to go. You're getting the salary savings of 3,300 Detroit. They're my favorite defense to play this week. They are. They really are. Mahomes is not that type to make the mistake. If you get Mahomes, you're getting him on the sack or whatever the case is, but you're not getting him. It's rare that you're going to get Mahomes. You're not going to get Mahomes in a playoff game throwing 2 to 3 interceptions. If anything, most people think that might happen in golf with the 49ers defense, and then after that, maybe Purdy with the pressure might be able to get flustered and, make a mistake or two. But like I said, Purdy's pretty smart, and he knows how to use the weapons around him. So, with that being said, I really think this is going to be an interesting slate. Obviously, some questions have been answered. Andrews, ready to go. Debo, ready to go. Khalif Raymond not coming back, so look for Josh Reynolds or Jameson Williams. With Debo back, I like Kittle. The fact that it's going to be for sure that his ownership will slightly drop, and all those question marks will go to Debo ownership. So I like that play even more. If you have, it's going to be a roulette situation, but like I said, you're going to have to. If you're not going to, you're either going to have to run Lamar naked and then worry about game stacking maybe something else if you don't trust Lamar to get it to end in wide receiver, because you're literally taking a wild guess. Because I think with Willie Snead guarding Zay Flowers, I think you better hope that Aguilar and Beckham can do something underneath, or maybe Rashad Bateman. It's gonna be hard to figure that out. And like I said, I really believe you're just gonna have to eat one of those bullets where it's like, oh man, you could end up with a 3 and less. But I really do believe MVS can get a good look when Mahomes catches him in man. Mahomes is going to see a look. He's going to call audible. I see it. He's going to call it. And he's going to catch MVS deep one good time. I really do think so. I think MVS is going to take it from the slot, maybe angle to the right a little bit, maybe lined up next to Kelsey, and then just take it down deep. And because Mahomes will have to take a chance. He's going to have to be patient, but he's going to have to take a chance downfield for the fact of just trying to get something over the top. Something has to happen. It worked against the Bills, and the Bills were one of the best teams against the deep ball. So, regardless of the injuries, they don't give up too much of the deep ball, and those 2 passes were great last week. Those 2 catches, one of them could turn into a touchdown next week or this coming Sunday, if you say that. But it's good that some of the injury news came out, so I think it's pretty much safe to say we are all set and ready to go with building lineups. I think literally if there's any question that could throw a hairpin in your plans, and some people probably might not even worry about this guy, but I think the only thing left is Kadarius Toney. If Kadarius Toney sits out, I think all that does is make you feel more comfortable about McCall Hardman. That's it. The gadget plays that Kadarius Toney will get, they'll give it to Hardman. Trusted vet, was away from the team, back with the team. They know what he's capable of, so they know that they can have him, because he was pretty much Tyreek Hill's complement. And with his background with the team, I really do think that all the Kadarius Toney injury does is, hey, for somebody playing in 25 max, hey, you might want to have, instead of just 1 share, you might want to have 3 lineups with McCall Hardman, because a lot of the KC guys, like I said, you can do whatever you want with these guys. After 4,800 Marquez Valdez-Scantling, it goes all the way up to 7,100 for Rashee Rice. You get all the other teams' wide receivers. So, they're easy to finish. Nice paying lottery ticket. Like I said, just gonna have to eat the bullet. Just a question of how many bullets you're willing to eat, with the possible dud or a couple of catches for like 8 points with some mediocre yards. But you're just gonna have to take a chance on him. Like I said, they got Mahomes. He's gonna get them the ball. It's just a case of them catching it, and I really think Mahomes is gonna put them in the right spot when he catches them in man. That's what he needs to do. He needs to catch him in man to get that one-on-one situation with MVS. He really needs to. With Rashee Rice is more of a zone guy. And then, like I said, you got all the gadgets and gadgets with the other two. And then, like I said, Kelsey, it just matters. Does he go from good to great with, the defensive coverage? So, with that being said, I think we're good with this preview. This preview went a little longer. Felt good to do the content, and just want to wish you guys luck this week. And it's going to be fun to figure out. But once again, for our side, pretty much all of the injury news has been solidified, other than some depth chart moves. Oh, and there is another one. There is another piece I do want to see, but I don't think, I've been trying to find some news, but I haven't heard anything. So we might find out something next week. So, didn't really get into the tight ends. Well, not the way that I wanted to, but so obviously Sam Laporta, okay, he doesn't have an injury designation, but we know he's not totally healthy. He has that knee brace. I saw that Tampa Bay game. He's laboring a bit. He's logging in full practice. He's fine, but he's definitely not fully healthy. I mean, nobody's fully healthy at this time of the year, but that knee brace, and sometimes when you see him get up, you see him laboring on that knee. Now, could it help for him to get healthy, to get that 2 week rest if they end up being the 49ers? He gets if there's anybody that could use 2 weeks rest on the Lions, besides, obviously everybody's body in general after a long season, it is Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta will be a great player in the Super Bowl if they can win this game and he gets 2 weeks to rest that knee. But they say he's been logging in full practices. The thing is, even though he's logging in full practice, who are the guys behind him? Now, I haven't heard any news, but they did sign Zach Ertz. Brock Wright obviously broke his forearm. I think they'll keep Anthony Ferguson as the third guy. I think so. But what they did do is they did sign Zach Ertz to the practice squad. I think if we find out anything tomorrow, Fan Duel most likely, that will be an interesting play to me, because I think he'll be a very interesting $5,000 tight end. Every now and then they will also run it happens a couple of times, but they will also run 2 tight end sets. Running 2 tight end sets leaves them very open to, do a couple of things. And then, of course, they have the veteran leadership of Ertz and somebody who can catch up with the playbook. And that was one of the things that the Lions staff said. He's in shape. It's just a case of, can he catch up enough with certain plays in the playbook? Obviously, coming back in, he just needs to learn certain plays to keep himself in the game. He's not going to be... He doesn't have to learn the entire playbook. If the Lions even win next week, all it does is give him more time to learn the playbook a little more, but he doesn't need to learn the whole playbook. He's more than likely going to be in there. Give Laporta a breather here and there. You don't want to put too much strain on that knee, but if Laporta's playing well, I see him probably getting 20 to 30% of snaps, but Zach Ertz is somebody that could definitely get a goal line look or inside the 20-15 look. And, good run after the catch. He's healthy. He's in shape. Was battling injury, obviously, earlier, but all healed up now, in shape, ready to go. If he wasn't, he would have not got called on the practice squad. It will be interesting to see what he does, or if he makes the team. I think that's something we'll probably find out tomorrow. I can't really find any news on if he got promoted to the active roster. He's still in the practice squad as of right now. Active roster, I can't find that yet. And if he does get promoted to the active roster, more than likely FanDuel will probably have him up by Saturday night or Sunday morning before the lock of 3 o'clock for the slate. But anyway, we'll just have to wait and see. But once again, a lot of injury concerns have been answered. And I think we're just about ready to go for these two great games of the conference championship weekend. Remember, it starts at 3 o'clock. KC at Baltimore for the AFC championship. Sunday night, 6:30. Detroit at San Francisco for the NFC championship. This is Grade A Fantasy. Remember, we play fantasy. Fantasy doesn't play you. Remember to play responsibly, and I'm signing off.